I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
We have such sights to show you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
I guess I was probably returning videotapes.
I am big. It's the picture that got small.
Who cares?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest installment of the Movie Roulette Tuesday podcast. This is Carl.
And Rachel.
And Matt.
So, it is my pick for Was It Really That Bad? And, I had a really hard time with this one. I had to do a lot of soul searching.
Did you?
Why? Wait, why?
Explain yourself.
Soul searching.
Well, you specifically requested
I knew that was going to give you a complex.
that I not choose a particular movie, which was Irreversible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I agreed. Even though that kind of goes
Graciously,
against
yes.
the purview of Movie Roulette Tuesday and how we've operated, I acquiesced and I said, fine, I will not choose Irreversible.
I asked at the behest of the best interest of myself and others.
Yes. So I was like, okay, fine. So when I sat down to try to pick a movie, my first inkling was, well, let me pick something worse.
Of course it was. I knew that was coming.
So,
oh, yeah.
For a moment, I was considering bringing Salo.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
I've never drummed up the courage to watch that. I've psyched myself out so many times.
Yeah.
Do you actually own that?
I do.
Have you seen it before?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Again, it's one of those movies that I don't know that you could say you would enjoy.
You enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Then I was thinking of, there's a movie called Thriller, A Cruel Picture, which was a Swedish movie that was banned in Sweden.
Whoa.
And chopped up when it was released here, but the original cut actually had hardcore pornography scenes that were edited into the movie that were not of the actors in the movie, but there's a lot of
what? Why?
Sexual assault in the movie, and the director decided to spice that up, I guess,
With
wasn't scenes
enough?
of hardcore pornography.
Do you own that one?
Yes.
Was it a double feature with Salo?
Not necessarily, but interestingly enough, the heroine in that movie, because at one point in the movie, her eye is gouged out, and Quentin Tarantino based Ellie Driver's character in Kill Bill on the heroine in Thriller.
Thriller. Okay.
A Cruel Picture.
A Cruel Picture.
Based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire.
Sapphire.
But then I was like, you know what? I don't want to try to pick a movie worse than Irreversible, because that I should be reasonable here.
Well, because you've already answered the question, was it really that bad? It's like, yeah, because you're trying to pick.
Yeah, and you're right. In those movies, I'm pretty sure the answer would be yes.
Yes.
Yeah. I Spit on Your Grave.
Didn't we see that?
No.
No?
Not for MRT.
I mean, that one's rough, but it's not as bad as Irreversible.
It's not.
No.
It's not. That one was always mentioned as, wow, notorious. Like, I remember seeing it in the video store, going there when I was younger. It's like, oh my God, that movie.
Don't look at it.
Or Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
Yep. So then I veered away and I said, well, what about... I started getting into Rachel pick territory as far as like, what's I have all my movies cataloged on an app, and I figured, well, let me sort all my movies by user ratings from the app to see which movie I own has the lowest viewer score.
I'm curious to know that.
Extraterrestrial Visitors, the movie with Trumpy the alien.
Oh my God, that is so bad. It's better when it's done by Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So that, according to the movie cataloging app that I have my catalog,
that's the worst.
That's the worst rated from the users of that app.
And it was really
of
that
all
bad.
of the movies that I own. But then I wanted to do something different from what Matt did and from what Rachel did. So I decided, well, what was the first R-rated movie?
Okay.
Like, what movie was like
Yeah.
the first one to get that R rating?
Yep.
And when I found what the movie was, it sounded interesting, and it has some stuff that I felt we could talk about.
Okay.
So we are going to watch 1968's The Split.
Ooh, which I've never even heard of. I've never heard of this movie.
I had neither.
Okay.
So this film...
Wait, but I'm sorry. Before you get into that, when was the MPAA enacted or put into play? Like, how much time passed between when that rating system was enacted and the first movie got it, or the first R-rated movie was
immediately.
released? It was immediately.
We'll discuss this.
Okay.
Hold
I
that
was
thought.
prepared. He came prepared.
So, this movie is from 1968. It's classified as a neo-noir,
Okay.
directed by Gordon Fleming. Now, when I looked into him, he actually directed 2 late 60s Doctor Who movies that starred Peter Cushing as the Doctor.
Okay.
Now, Peter Cushing is not in the canon of doctors. He is not known as one of the official doctors
He's
of the
not a
Doctor Who
numbered
canon. He is not a
doctor?
numbered doctor.
Okay.
But they made 2 movies in the late 60s with Peter Cushing as the
I
Doctor.
feel like I've seen one of them.
And the director of this movie directed those.
Okay.
Now, as far as a plot synopsis of this film, the LA Coliseum is the target of a crew of daring thieves led by the implacable McClane in this neo-noir adaptation of Richard Stark's The Seventh. Jim Brown, as McClane, heads the all-star cast that includes Gene Hackman, Ernest Borgnine, Donald Sutherland, Julie Harris, Diane Carroll, Jack Klugman, James Whitmore, and Warren Oates
This is a lot of
as
people.
the criminals and cops that inhabit the world of The Split. While McClane's meticulously planned heist goes as planned, the crews start to fall out after a psycho landlord and a crooked cop decide to stake a claim to the loot.
Wow, a psycho landlord.
Strikingly shot by Burnett Guffey of Bonnie and Clyde, The Split ups the ante with its iconic locations, splendid 60s fashions, and full-on funky score by Quincy Jones,
Ooh.
with contributions from Sheb Woolley, Arthur Prysock, and Billy Preston.
Billy Preston.
Billy Preston,
Awesome. Oh, this holds a lot of promise.
the fifth Beatle.
The fifth Beatle. At least for Let It Be.
Yeah.
Now,
And Abbey Road.
I was familiar with Richard Stark because,
Tony Stark.
different Stark, no relation.
No relation.
So Richard Stark is actually a pseudonym of Donald Westlake,
Okay.
who wrote a series of novels, of crime novels, that prominently feature a character known as Parker. So he wrote 28 novels under that Richard Stark pseudonym, and 24 of them featured the lead character of Parker.
Okay.
And many of them have been adapted, and there have been many actors who have played Parker. So Jim Brown actually plays... He's called McClane in the movie, but he's basically playing Parker.
He's based on that character.
Right.
Kind of like Tom Clancy and Jack Ryan.
Right.
Okay.
Except Parker's a criminal.
Okay. That's all right. That's cool.
So from Wikipedia,
It's an anti-hero.
Parker, a ruthless career criminal. Parker has almost no traditional redeeming qualities aside from efficiency and professionalism. Parker is callous, meticulous, and perfectly willing to commit murder. He does, however, live by one ethical principle. He will not double-cross another professional criminal with whom he is working unless they try to double-cross him.
Okay.
Should that happen, Parker will unhesitatingly undertake to exact a thorough and brutal revenge.
Sounds like you.
I
When
wouldn't
you're
commit
wronged,
murder.
you seek vengeance.
But I
We
was
talked
actually
about this.
familiar with the character of Parker because there's a comic book series, Darwin Cook, who was an artist and writer of comic books. He's since passed away, unfortunately. He actually adapted several of these novels into comic book form, and I had been familiar with the comics. I have a few of
Kinda
them.
cool. That seems like a good expansion of this theme. You know, this guy who's an anti-hero.
Yeah, and he
right?
had a cool sort of retro art style in
yeah,
all the comics
yeah.
he did.
I
They're
can
very,
see how
very
that
good.
would work, for sure.
Parker's first name is never mentioned in any of the novels, and there are many details about him which remain unknown. In fact, it is hinted throughout the series that the name Parker might itself be an alias.
Oh.
So he wrote 24 novels featuring this character,
He must have
who
really
was
liked
essentially
him.
a criminal. So
Yeah.
it was interesting.
That's cool. I always like criminal main characters. They're more interesting sometimes, you know.
Some actors that have portrayed Parker in previous films. So Jim Brown portrays Parker in this film.
Yeah.
Robert Duvall,
Okay.
Lee Marvin,
Oh.
Mel Gibson, Jason Statham,
Okay.
and there's actually an upcoming adaptation where Mark Wahlberg
Marky
is
Mark.
playing Parker.
Goat.
Donald Westlake, the author of the books, he said that when he envisioned Parker in his mind, as far as what he would look like, he always said a young Jack Palance.
Okay. Wow, we're going way back. A young Jack Palance.
Yeah.
And Jack Palance used to play a lot of bad guys in westerns.
City Slickers.
He was in City Slickers. That's true.
He was in Batman.
He was in Batman.
You
yeah.
are my number one.
Yeah.
There you go.
Definitely. He was even in he played Jack the Ripper, I
Yeah,
think, in
he
The
did.
Lodger.
Yeah, The Lodger.
Yeah, that was a
is what
weird
it was.
movie. But yeah, okay. All right. We'll have to
Yeah.
squint our eyes and picture Jack Palance. Jim Brown as Jack Palance.
Right.
As Parker. Okay.
So the first thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the rating is, so Jim Brown, who was the lead actor in this film, he started out as a football player.
Yes.
So he played for the Cleveland Browns from 1957 to 1965.
No relation.
Right. No relation to the Cleveland Browns, other than he played for the
Jim
Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland.
So he's like OJ.
So that's what I wanted to talk
Okay.
about. Can you
Ew.
guys think of some notable athletes that you enjoy in movies? Obviously, OJ. You mentioned OJ. I remember him from the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that I enjoy him, but I think of The Rock. He kind of plays the same thing in every movie, but he is a guy who was
He was
a
an
wrestler.
athlete. Doesn't have a lot of range, but he's...
Nope, he knows he's got his zone, and he can do it.
Well, and there are other wrestlers, too, that have crossed over. You've got Dave Bautista. He was Drax in the
yeah.
Guardians
Yep,
movies.
yep.
He was
Roddy
in
Piper.
Roddy Piper.
They
is in
Live.
They Live, and Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Roddy Piper is featured in our intro.
He is.
I mean, come on.
He sure is.
better can it get?
John Cena, he's in the...
So a lot of wrestler
some of the
crossover.
DC stuff.
Well, yeah, because they're. I mean, you know, we
'Cause they are
did this
actors,
ad
right?
nauseam, but they. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I can't. I'm trying to think of other sports like aside from cameos.
Well, that's
you
what I was
know.
going to say. Like Wayne Gretzky has had cameos in movies.
Sure. Or like Magic Johnson or Wilt Chamberlain.
No, Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, yeah.
Shaq?
There you
Oh,
go.
he turned into an actor.
See, in
right?
oh my God,
He was Space Jam.
is it?
He was in Kazam?
It's Kazam. It's
Kazam.
not
It's not
the
Shazam.
imaginary Shazam movie.
No, not the one with Sinbad
Which
as
is
a
totally
genie.
real. Sorry, everyone.
It's not real.
It's real.
No.
I know it is.
The
He was
trailer was
also in
fake.
Blue
College
Chips, I
Humor made
think.
it.
Stop gaslighting me.
I
It's
wish I
real.
was.
Well, you had
Damn it.
Michael Jordan in Space Jam.
Oh, Michael
Yeah.
Jordan. He could semi-act. He was.
What about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Airplane as
my
the
God.
co-pilot?
But those are
He's-
cameos.
That's
He was
a
in the whole
cameo.
movie.
He was.
A cameo, you're only in there for like
That's true.
a scene. He was in the entire movie.
Okay, but
He was also in Game of Death with Bruce Lee. He fought Bruce Lee.
Okay. All right. You got to give it to him. He might not have been a good actor, but he was an actor.
Schwarzenegger. He started as a competitive bodybuilder before he got into movies.
He did.
yeah,
did.
I mean, and then he became governor too. Like
He's done it all.
he's done a lot.
He's been busy.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. Anybody else on that list?
Oh,
over
I got
there?
a whole
What
list.
else you got? Anything good?
So Terry Crews
Terry Crews
started as an NFL football player.
President Elizondo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I like to watch Idiocracy every like couple of years, and it's time.
Makes the plants grow.
It's great.
I see bits and pieces of it every day.
Ow, my balls.
Carl Weathers started out as a football player.
That's
He had a short stint in
true.
the NFL, and he played in the CFL,
right.
I believe.
Carl Weathers. He died recently.
He
Yeah.
did.
He's
He
dead.
did. Chuck Norris started with martial arts.
That's true. Okay.
Karate
Yep,
competitions.
he did. Well, hey, Bruce Lee.
Fred Williamson. he played in the NFL from 1960 to 1967, and he starred in over 100 films following his football career.
Any notable films? Like
He was in a lot of blaxploitation films in the 70s. He was in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
so no.
No, I mean, it depends on what
What
movies you're
circles
into.
you
Yeah.
travel in? What movie circles you're in? How about It's gone. Forget it.
Bo
Keep going.
Jackson.
Bo Jackson. He played football and baseball,
Yes,
right?
He played
Right.
both of them.
They
Bo
also
knows.
didn't they make a GI Joe character out of him? There was
They
somebody
did?
with a football on a chain or something.
G.I. Bo.
Refrigerator Perry, I think, was the G.I. Joe.
Oh, was it?
Maybe.
Mean Joe Green. He was in a commercial, wasn't he?
Yeah, but that's not.
It's not the same.
Sorry.
Mike Tyson was in The Hangover.
That's true.
They
That
stole
was-
his tiger.
That's right.
Yes.
He was also in one of the Ip Man movies.
Mike
about the guy
Tyson?
that trained Bruce Lee. Yeah.
Really? Oh.
The oh, you said Bruce Lee,
Yes,
right?
I did.
I can't think of any. I mean, I'm not a big
Name guy.
name. Yes, thank you. Or sentence guy, apparently.
Kevin Garnett was in Uncut Gems recently. He did a good job in
Who's
that.
that?
I don't know.
He
who
played
that
for the
is.
Celtics.
Oh, basketball doesn't count. Sorry, everyone.
As a sport?
Oh, it doesn't count as well. I hate basketball, but it's definitely a sport.
I don't like basketball. I don't pay attention to it, so it's not
Too
in my.
squeaky.
I don't travel.
It's one of
in
those sports
basketball
that's
circles.
it's fun to play informally.
Yeah.
But like as soon as you
You watch it, it's like now they're over here getting a basket. Now they're over here getting a basket. Now they're over here getting a
I
basket.
mean, you can say the same thing about a lot of sports.
Yeah, but
They're
it's
over here getting the
different.
puck. They're
I
over there getting the
guess.
puck.
I don't know. I'm not into it. It's okay. Move on. We don't need to talk about that. Do you have anything? Any other notable contenders? Where you said O.J. Simpson,
O.J. Simpson.
also a murderer,
Also, yes, he also murdered 2 people.
also dead. He died.
Jason Statham apparently was a competitive diver before he started acting.
He's a competitive diver.
Yeah, which I did not
right.
know.
That's a fun fact.
So, I mean, as far as how well any of these people can act, debatable.
Yes. Yeah. Some are better than others for sure.
I mean, that's a whole conversation unto itself, right? Crossover
Right.
fields where it's like, you're coming from sports into acting, or you're a musician like Jennifer Lopez
She
into,
can
into
act.
acting, or,
She should stop doing it.
something else that you're famous for. And then it's like, oh, you should be in my movie. That's
Well, Mark Wahlberg, we just mentioned him.
Yeah.
He's a musician. He started out, Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
I feel like he is more well known for his acting now.
He
Like,
is now.
he even doesn't like talking about his music
Well,
career.
he needs to face up to his past. It was
Come
real.
on, swing it.
now I see him on YouTube commercials
You
for
do?
I don't know what it is because I only watch 5 seconds of it.
That movie
before I
with the
hit
dog?
skip immediately.
The movie with the
He's
dog.
in a movie with a dog.
It's not a movie. He's
a
like
commercial?
it's a commercial for I don't know what. I really
Oh,
don't.
it behooves you to find out so we can know.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Oh,
If you run into it, if anyone runs into it on YouTube, you watch it and tell me.
all right. I'll get back to you on that.
Because he's talking about, he's like walking down the street. He's like, this is the street I grew up on in Massive, like right here. And then skip.
Oh,
Have you ever eaten at Wahlburgers, the burger place that their family has?
no. have you?
Wahlburgers? That's a
Yeah.
real thing?
Yeah, they've got one
Yeah.
like right down the street from Fenway Park.
Have you? Is it good?
No.
No?
I walked by it
No.
when I was going to the Billy Joel show a few years ago.
You were
but
like, "There it
It was
is."
busy. They had a show about it. It was like a series.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. And the
About
brother
the
was a new
restaurant.
kid on the block.
Donnie.
Donnie.
That's right. Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg.
Yeah.
He-
Married to Jenny McCarthy.
Donnie Wahlberg?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Face looks weird now.
Oh, I'm sure he had
Since
plastic surgery.
nobody can age gracefully in,
I
in
know. Stop
show business
this.
anymore.
God. Ugh.
So they all have to look like their faces are just like stretched over.
Yeah, like aliens.
Yeah.
Like in Beetlejuice, where their faces get all,
Yeah.
they look like human crows or something. I don't know. Anyway, go on.
So yeah, we'll see how Jim Brown does
He's
as
gonna
a
do
former
great.
football player.
He's gonna be great.
Now the head of a heist
Yeah.
operation.
McClane. John McClane.
John McClane.
No relation.
They're cousins.
So this movie, as I mentioned, was the first movie to be rated R.
Wow, that's a heavy burden to bear.
So the Hays Code, Rachel has referenced the Hays Code in prior episodes.
Tell us more about the Hays
So
Code.
the Hays Code ran from 1934 to
Yep.
1968.
Okay.
At which point the MPAA's rating system took over, and this film, the makers of this film, wanted to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're going to get some notoriety. We're going to be the first movie to come out that pushes the boundaries from what people have been used to. And they capitalized on it.
Yeah. which
That's
is
like
cool.
companies that put AAA in front of their name so that they used to show up first in the yellow pages.
AA insulation.
Like our oil company, they put an A in front of their name.
Yeah, they do.
So that they show up earlier in the listings. It's always like,
So you think that's
What
what,
a
this
shit
is?
move.
This is a case of just we want
well,
to
if they intentionally went after it,
Yeah, but
then yes.
Yeah, but you got to give it a chance. It could be great.
I didn't say it couldn't be great. It's just
Plus, who wouldn't do that? You have this rating system come out. You have an adult movie
let's
anyway.
get the worst rating we can.
It's not the worst rating.
Or not
it's
worst, but like
it's the most
infamous.
mysterious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's like whoa, rated R,
Let's be
restricted.
the first R-rated movie.
So obviously, I feel like the answer to was it really that bad is going to be no. But I wanted to put this movie in the context of what people had been used to
Yeah.
prior to
Yes.
the MPAA.
Was
So-
it really that bad for the time?
Right.
Right.
So I have procured a list of what the Hays Code what people could not do
Yes. Oh, I love this. I love this.
in
Go.
during the
Yeah.
Hays Code era. So here is what was prohibited
Yeah.
from 1934 to 1968 in movies.
And TV, right?
I would imagine.
Yeah, but I don't know that the Hays Code had control over television, but it doesn't matter because they followed the same rules. Go on.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
hear.
So here's what was restricted. So the Hays Code, formerly known as the Motion Picture Production Code, was a set of industry moral guidelines for the self-censorship of content that was applied to most United States motion pictures released by major studios from 1934 to 1968. The code prohibited 1. Nudity and suggestive dancing.
It's like, wow.
2. Profanity and blasphemy, including
cursing.
specific prohibitions on words like God, Lord, Jesus, Christ, unless used reverently,
Okay.
hell, damn, and other vulgar expressions.
Okay.
There were heavy Christian leanings to the Hays Code.
Definitely.
Sexual content, including explicit scenes of passion, adultery, and illicit relationships. Scenes of childbirth, regardless of nudity, were not to be shown. So, we always talk about how when people kiss in these old movies and it just looks like their faces are
Face
smushing
smash.
against each other because they couldn't
You couldn't do
you
anymore.
couldn't do passionate kissing.
No.
That's all you could do.
You can't get hot and heavy. You got to keep it clinical.
Crime and immorality.
Or implied, yeah.
Implied.
Right. Crime and immorality, which were not to be presented in a way that would inspire imitation.
That's right.
Sympathy for criminals and crime, as well as the endorsement of illegal drug use and excessive drinking, were forbidden. So you couldn't have sympathetic criminals.
And so I think that I would posit that this movie,
More
the
glorifies
the
the
criminal
crimes.
is the hero. And so maybe that's why
Could be.
they went for the R rating, but that's just a guess.
5. Brutal violence and cruelty,
Oh.
especially scenes depicting excessive brutality, gruesome horror, and detailed scenes of murder.
Oh.
6. Interracial relationships
Yep. that
were
was a big one.
discouraged.
Yeah.
7. Ridicule of religion, clergy, or religious institutions
Wow.
were forbidden. And negative portrayals of authority figures, including law enforcement officers, judges, and government officials.
So you couldn't have a corrupt judge
Right.
or a dirty cop, or
Right.
if you did, they had to be the outlier and they had to get their
They had to be
comeuppance.
brought to justice
Yes, that's right.
for their actions.
Yeah.
The goal was to ensure that movies upheld a certain standard of morality and did not corrupt the audience, particularly younger viewers. The code was strictly enforced until the late 1960s when it was replaced by the modern MPAA film rating system. And the movie we are about to watch was the first one to test the waters
The inaugural.
of said new rating system.
Wow. What do you did in your research here? Did you come upon why they gave up on the Hays Code and went with the MPAA rating?
No.
I believe it was the zeitgeist of the times. It was the late 60s. There was a lot of rebellion. There was all the free
freewheeling,
love
yeah.
and drugs. And movie studios were changing and evolving and realized we can't do this anymore. We can't censor like this anymore.
Well,
That's not what people
The
want.
culture is changing too. I mean,
Yes,
at the time when the
that's what
Hays
I
Code
mean.
was put out, it was a reflection of,
Right.
like, again, what you said, society, the
yeah.
zeitgeist.
Yep.
That was the prevailing majority opinion.
Yeah.
That
We don't
stuff
want to
was-
corrupt the youth. We don't want this out there. But then
right.
by the time the 60s came around, all those little
Can't stop it.
boomers, yeah,
Yeah.
it was like time to
And then
change.
there's, I don't know. What do you think about that? I'm trying to quantify that statement. I guess where I'm going with this is that there seems to be today, maybe it wouldn't be so bad to have. It seems to be anything goes all the time
Yeah.
these days, and having some bits and pieces of that come back. Like, I don't want to say like we should prohibit people from portraying things a certain way or doing things, but just because it's allowed doesn't mean you have to.
No, but I think that society turns like a wheel, right? So that
Like a flat circle, like time.
thank you. But I do. I think that you'll find that society will turn again, where once anything goes, people will start to reject that. Just as one point, this morality and rigidity and very clear-cut rules, people started to reject that. And then it snowballed into anything goes. It was like, well, we're going to try this and this and this.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being, well, we're going to do whatever. And then I think at some point, either now or in the future, people will be like, okay, that's enough of that. Let's put the brakes on. Let's rein it in. And then the cycle will happen all over again. Maybe in a different iteration. It won't be exactly the same. But I think that that's happened in the world over and over again over the centuries.
Yeah.
Where you have more puritanical times, and then you have more hedonistic times, and you
But
have
it
the
depends.
times in the middle.
I mean, you're talking about cyclical changes, but there's also the whole concept of the Overton window that coincides with that. So you have this moving window of what the acceptable norm range is, and then that's going to shift.
Yeah.
And then you have cycles that happen within that.
And then that window can shift
That
again,
window.
either backward and forward. So,
Yeah. I don't know. It's a balance, right? It's
Yeah.
about
it is. And things balance each other out eventually. When things get too extreme one way or the other, humanity usually over time will be like, oh, whoa, come back.
yeah.
It's true. I think that's true. I have to think that for my own sanity.
But the Hays Code, when it was enacted, was an across-the-board thing. With the MPAA, you have each movie gets an individual rating.
Right.
So it's not saying that you can't do those things, but we're going to not restrict, but advise what audience should be viewing what content.
I think in theory, it's a better system because it allows artists to be more creative and studios to take more risks and be more creative. But then, people need to abide by those guidelines. And I don't think people do. I can't tell you how many times I've seen small children in R-rated movies that don't belong there.
I remember
It's
a
like,
kid crying
hey.
going to see Hannibal.
Yeah, no.
And there was a
see,
kid
come
crying
on.
in front of me. And I'm just like, what?
Why are
Find
you
a
here?
sitter. Why are
Right.
you here with
But-
this small child?
But again, that's a society. Like, you can't.
But you also enter into scenarios where studios are targeting the magical rating, which is PG-13, which is able to, we're going to edit the original content of the movie that might have been an R because we're going to be able to make more money appealing to a broader range of people.
Well, now you're hacking the
in
code.
PG-13. Well, that's what
And
they
now
did. That's
you're-
why PG-13
Right.
came to be.
Well, that's what I mean. And now you're, then you start, it's the same thing as, when we talked about with Geely, where it's like now you're governing by
Right.
committee or, accountants or revenue, which
You're
to
taking
some
the art
degree-
or the intent of the original work out of it.
And even that, there has to be a balance. If you want to continue to make movies, you have to make some money. Like, there's a practicality to that. And again, I think it's all a balance. It has to be give and take. It can't be all or nothing. And the libertarian in me says it's on society to put pressure on outlier people. Like, I don't think things should be enforced, right? So, hey, you want to bring your 5-year-old to an R-rated movie? I disapprove of that, but you can do it.
Oh, that's true.
You can do it, but maybe I'll say something to you or give you a dirty look because I think it's important that society has external pressures on certain things to be like, that's not right. You shouldn't do that. Sometimes people need a reality check.
But that's what these systems of rules are for. I mean, they're supposed to be put together as a representation of society's views so that the majority of people
It's like we've
at
all
that
agreed
time are
that
fine with it.
Don't bring your kid to this.
People who have problems with it are the outliers.
Right.
We're so far from that system even remotely working.
That's a whole separate problem.
It's mostly
Anymore.
outliers now.
Yes.
Right. That's a whole separate problem. And that goes deeper. And I don't know that I want to get into it right
Oh,
now.
no.
But just on a more superficial basis and going back to what we started to say, I think the Hays Code was fine for its time. It was kind of weird. I think that a lot of art and movies suffered for it.
For sure.
I
they
do. But it also made them creative. They had to work around it. And some great films came out of that time, like great films where they didn't need, to show nudity or extreme violence, or they had to work around it. But movies before 1934, some of them are wild. It's kind of, I always entertains me to watch some of those movies and be like, oh, wow, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. But, that was a product of its time. But I'm glad that ended. I don't think that was sustainable. I think
It ran its course.
Exactly. And movies evolved.
Yeah.
So as we watch this, obviously, if we're looking at this from the lens of modern times, it's not going to be that bad.
No, but we should.
But think about
As you
people
said,
coming out
yeah.
of the Hays Code and watching this.
Yeah.
How do you think they would have felt?
That's what I'm going to try to go into this with. It's 1968, and the world is changing. Things are weird, and
like how off the wall is this compared to what people would have watched up until
what
now?
came before. Yeah.
Yeah, what came before, and it'd be kind of cool to know what the first 10 R-rated movies were, just to gauge, if they were recognizable at all, or famous movies, because I don't think that this is famous other than for having the first R
rating,
but
did all movies have to be MPAA rated as of 1968, or no? Was it more like? I think it was more vague too. It's like this is for general audiences versus this is restricted. I think it was.
I don't know if my memory serves me correctly, which it might not. You had general audiences, and you did basically everything but PG and NC-17.
You didn't have PG-13. I think it was general audiences and restricted.
No, you had general audiences, parental guidance, and restricted.
Okay.
I do have what some of the first films to be rated R were
Ooh, go.
in 1968.
Yes.
So The Split.
Yep.
The Subject Was Roses.
Not familiar.
Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Oh, get your hands
That
off
got an
me,
R
you
rating.
damn
The
dirty apes.
Detective. Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
The Boston Strangler.
All right.
Barbarella.
That
That is a
should be
rated R movie.
Yeah.
That is a rated
It
R
is.
movie, yep.
Charlie. No Way to Treat a Lady.
Okay.
And The Night They Raided Minsky's.
Okay.
I heard of that one for whatever reason.
Okay.
I've never seen it. Okay. Well,
Man.
that at least gives us some sort of yardstick.
Yeah.
Didn't we watch Barbarella from
We sure did.
MIT?
Yeah.
That movie was
Yes, we
wild.
did.
I loved that movie.
It was better than I thought it was.
Yeah, it was fun. Jane Fonda.
Just weird.
Just weird.
Jane Fonda
alien-
being
Yeah.
fawned over and lusted over for
Yes,
a whole movie.
Barbarella. It was great. Oh, so okay.
So we're gonna see
excited.
what the first R-rated movie was like.
You know what? I applaud you for your creativity.
Yes.
Yeah, my only struggle with this pick is I know it's not going to be that bad using modern sensibilities.
Right. We have
But-
to go back to
We have to put it in the context of the time it came out.
1968.
Yeah. Well, it's
We
the
can do
first
that.
movie to get an R rating, so was it really that bad
Right.
to get it? Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right.
And
I
I'd
like
never
this.
heard of it, so it's like cool. I'll watch a
Yeah.
movie that I never even would have
But
thought
man,
of
Yeah.
so many great people are
with
in
this
it.
giant cast
Jack
and good
Klugman,
soundtrack
Ernest
on
Borgnine,
paper.
Quincy Jones. Yeah, I don't know. This could be a hidden gem.
Yeah.
I'm excited. All right. What did we
see.
have for dinner?
Oh my sweet
OMG.
Jesus! Which would have been not permitted for me to say
You would have
Say
been
during the
that.
Hays
censored.
Code.
You are off the air.
So Matt and Rachel acquired
we bought it.
a miracle device
it
here.
showed up at our.
A miracle device. It's a griddle. Is that the official?
We needed a new grill. Our old grill was rotted out.
was old and busted.
And we weren't going to wait until Father's Day to grill.
No.
So got an early Father's Day present, and I got a Blackstone grill or griddle. 30-inch 2-burner, because the 36-inch 4-burner,
Was for like private parties.
yeah.
It really was
we didn't have
ridiculous.
that many people
No.
to cook for. But yeah, it's like having a big cast iron pan outside hooked up to a propane tank.
It's glorious.
And you season it once, nothing sticks to it if you do it right. And yeah, we've made smash burgers,
Oh
steak
my
bombs on it, breakfast.
Yeah, bacon, eggs, and pancakes. We've made grilled chicken and vegetables.
Yep.
Well, today we had fried rice.
Yes.
Pork fried rice.
fried rice.
Pork fried
Yeah.
rice.
And it was tremendous.
It's good, right?
Absolutely
I
delicious.
know. And
Yeah.
it's great because now Matt does the cooking. He does it outside.
I enjoy it.
I look
And
forward
I'm
to
into it.
future
Yeah.
MRTs during the summer to see what else you can come up
I
with.
want to
on
do
that
smash
day.
Yeah.
burgers again.
Those smash burgers.
Please
First
wait.
of all,
Please do them on a Tuesday. I'm here. So.
we totally
Absolutely.
will. They're worth it. I want you to have them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he steams the buns on top of the burgers when they're done cooking, so they're like really soft.
So what makes a smash burger? Is it just smushing it down into the?
Oh no.
So no, you have to get preferably 80-20, but
So good fat content.
Yep.
80-20 ground beef. And so the way that I prepared these, I didn't come up with this, but the way that the recipe that I followed, each burger has 2 patties in it because they're very thin once you press them out. So, and this is kind of modified because we use onions. But anyway, you take the ground beef, and each burger is 1/3 of a cup of beef. You can weigh it out if you want to, but 1/3 of a cup's easy. And you scoop it out, and you don't pack it.
You don't handle the
loose.
meat.
You keep it loose
Very
because you
loose.
want it to spread out and not ball up
And be tender.
You want it to be tender and not overcooked and chewy or tough. So you do that. We made 12 burgers for 6 people.
12 patties.
12, sorry,
Right.
12 patties. And then you take an onion and you put it in a food processor or preferably a
Mandolin.
mandolin. Thank you. And you get it nice and thin so that you can kind of see through them. And so you preheat the griddle. What?
I'm listening to you.
Oh, I thought you
I'm
were-
not. No, I'm just. I'm
thought
thinking
you
about
were doing
it. I'm
something.
thinking of the magic.
Now I
of-
got Bruce Hornsby
But,
and Rain in my mind. Mandolin Rain. Continue.
Rain and
Thanks,
onions.
Don't.
So anyway, on the griddle, you get it nice and hot, like 425, and you need like an infrared temperature gun
yeah.
to figure that out. But once you get it heated up, you put some oil down, and then the patties.
You slap those burgers right on
You
there.
take the ball. I made 4 at a time, 4 patties, and you put the balls down in like a square on the griddle, and I took a piece of parchment paper, wax paper, whatever, and I have a like a cast iron sandwich press that I heated up on the griddle ahead of time. And you take the burger, or the ball, once it's on there, you take the onions that you've sliced up and you cover the burgers with them. Or you cover the balls
Oh my
with
God,
them.
why are you taking so long to explain
This is an involved
I
process.
know.
Because I'm like replaying it in my head because I just made them. Anyway, you cover the balls with the onions and you smash them down with the wax paper so it doesn't stick.
And they get real thin.
And you push down and make it nice and even and thin so that they caramelize on the bottom. And then you flip them and you put cheese on top and you stack them and then you put the buns on and stuff. Anyway,
And
you
then-
can look it up online.
I
don't
They're
know
need
why.
to-
so delicious.
I need to
Oh my
try
God.
this at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll make them.
Yeah.
They're really good.
really
They're
good.
really good.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna watch The Split. I ended up picking up the DVD on Amazon for like $5 or $6, but it is rentable on Amazon Prime for $3 and change.
I hope
if
you
you're
like
so
it.
inclined. I paid $5 or $6.
I
If I
know.
like it, I have
Right.
it. If I don't like it, I paid $5 or $6.
All right, the price of a cup of coffee.
Right.
Okay.
And it's got a picture of Ernest Borgnine getting kicked in the
And
stomach
it's a
right on
great,
the front of it.
It's a great
So,
picture.
it's
but
worth it just for the
I wonder
picture.
if we could put that as the thumbnail. Do you think
see-
we could do
I'll
that?
see what I can do.
Please. Okay.
But we'll see how this is, and we'll
All
report
right,
back.
Let's do it. Let's split.
And we are back from our viewing of the first R-rated movie, The
Yes,
Split.
The Split.
What do we think?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was.
did.
It was fine.
It was a great heist movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a great heist movie. It was a
fun.
good heist movie.
Yeah. All right. It wasn't great.
No.
But it was fun. I liked it a lot. I liked all the little cast of characters and where the movie went, and I was entertained the whole time.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of, oh geez, what was that heist movie? Where the whole movie is the heist, where they're,
Like Ocean's 11?
no.
No, it was the movie that Tarantino loved, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I forget.
Have we
Somebody-
They're
watched
like robbing a horse race.
oh my God, Kubrick directed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stanley
yeah.
Kubrick directed it.
He
I
did.
forget the name of it. It was one of his earlier
Anyway,
films. I'm going to look it up.
I can't think of it right now, but it did remind me a little bit of that with a
Oh, definitely. I thought the same thing. And I couldn't think of the name of that movie.
with the late 60s R-rated flair.
Yeah. And it was. It had that.
Carl, what did you think of the movie?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good. To give our customary synopsis while Rachel's
Yeah, I'm looking up this movie.
looking. So Jim Brown plays McClane, and he, at the beginning of the movie, shows up at a motel where an associate of his, Gladys, works. She seems to be the arranger for his heist, so she basically finds jobs for him and finances him. And she has The Killing.
That was the name of the movie, The Killing,
Yeah. Yeah.
by Stanley. That was a great movie with Sterling Hayden.
Yeah, it
Anyway,
was.
go on.
So she has a job for him where it's the football playoffs, and they are not pre-selling tickets. So basically, all 80,000 plus tickets are going to be sold at the venue,
Yeah.
and
Cash.
cash.
They didn't have credit cards,
Right.
or they did, but they wouldn't accept them. at
So
the
it ended up working out to roughly $500,000 between the ticket sales and the concessions and everything. And so she brings him to the stadium, scopes it out. Is this a job you can do? He says yes. Then he moves on to the assembling the team phase,
which I was entertained by.
where it's he didn't have, which was interesting because you would think with a career person he'd have like a crew that he uses, but
Maybe he wanted new people that he hadn't interacted with before.
yeah. But I think that also
yeah.
the fact that he used people he didn't know, though, I think lended to the tension later.
Of course.
When what happens,
'Cause
happens.
there was no trust.
Yeah.
But these guys are supposed to be professionals.
Right.
That's the whole point of this.
Yeah.
So Jack Klugman is the driver.
Yep.
And there's a chase scene
Yep.
between him and McClane. He can test his driving skills. Ernest Borgnine is sort of the heavy, like the fighter,
The
the
enforcer.
muscle.
Yeah.
Donald Sutherland is the shooter, like the gun
Sharpshooter.
guy.
It's like an
Like an assassin.
like an Overwatch kind of guy. But who Was he supposed to be like a spy or something? He said he was in deep
Cover.
Oh,
or
like you're gonna
something.
blow my cover. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. He
I
was
don't-
like a hired hitman.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe. Who knows?
It
He looks like a Vulcan.
Klingon?
Not a Klingon, a Vulcan.
vampire.
Also a vampire. Ghoulish.
Warren Oates is sort of the smart one.
He's like the tech guy.
The tech guy. He's got
Yeah.
he can figure out gadgets
Gadgetry.
and
Yeah. He's like the vault cracker /
Yeah.
Right.
alarm handler /
He's tech
asthmatic.
support.
Right.
He had asthma. That came into play for a minute.
and prior to the getting of the crew, McClane also reunites with Ellie, who's his ex-wife.
Yeah.
They were married.
They were married and divorced, and he left, and there's some bitterness there, but she still cares about
she
him.
just can't quit him.
Nope. She's got a soft spot for him.
Mm-hmm.
So once the crew is assembled,
Through a series of bizarro tests.
Yeah.
Like
did he set up that vault specifically to test? Like,
I don't know. He like breaks into Ernest Borgnine's gym office.
it just
and he,
gets in
like,
a fight with him.
fights him, and
then
then
leaves.
just leaves out the window. And Ernest Borgnine's like, "What the hell was that?"
Right.
But you, as the audience, also are
wonder.
like, what the hell is that? Because
Yeah.
they don't introduce
No.
his, I'm going to go test these people
No.
and join
No,
my
it
crew.
just kinda-
It's just
does
random
it.
interactions with people.
Yeah.
It's
He
really
runs
weird.
Klugman off the road eventually and then leaves.
You're
It's
like, why is he
It's like
doing
all
this?
these disjointed scenes. Like, you get it, obviously, but it's still
It
at
was a little
first a little
clunky.
jarring. Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually he
Gets
assembles the
screwed.
team. They plan out the heist, and the heist is successful.
They do it.
They do
Yeah.
it. So they get the $500,000. It ends up being more. I think they said it was like $540,000.
Yeah, a
or
little
something.
more than
a little
they.
more. And now they're going to split it 6 ways. All the members of the heist crew, and then Gladys gets a cut.
Which is like a whopping like 85
It was
grand,
83,000, I think, each or
which
something
is a
like
lot in 1968.
that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And they don't want to split it right after the
No,
event. They want
everything's
to
gotta
split
die
it the
down.
next day.
Yeah.
And so there's a discussion about where they're going to stash the money
Mm-hmm.
between, in the meantime. And they decide to stash it at Ellie's house, McClane's ex-wife, because she's clean. She doesn't have a record.
Right. No one's going to suspect her.
No one would
and-
suspect her. And so he leaves the money with her.
Yeah.
He leaves her place at one point, and her landlord,
Super creep landlord.
super creepy landlord,
creepy. Yeah.
who is played by James Whitmore, who, when I saw his face, I recognized him. He played Brooks in Shawshank Redemption, the old man with the bird in his pocket
I remember that vaguely.
reached an unfortunate end once he was freed.
Oh.
Just to interject briefly, how much do you think 83? So this was 1968.
Oh, you're adjusting for inflation?
Adjusting for inflation, 83 grand in 1968 has what sort of purchasing power in 2024?
I have an uneducated guess. I'm going to say like $500,000.
Okay, $500,000, Carl.
I was going to go higher. I'll go $750,000.
So 750
Yes.
grand. Carl, you're closest,
I was going to go over $1 million.
but you did go over. So
Oh,
this
did I
was
go
Price
over?
is Right, but not by
I
much.
would win?
Well,
I would have won?
Yeah,
Yes!
but Carl was much closer.
Okay. What is it?
So 83,000 in
Yeah.
1968 is about $747,830
Short by 3
You
or
were so
over by $3
close.
grand.
today.
Bum, bum,
An
bum.
increase of 664,830
Wow.
over
Damn.
56 years.
There you go.
Wow.
So
Okay.
801%
Wow.
return
That's pretty good.
or
Damn.
increase rather.
Okay.
So Ellie's incredibly creepy landlord sees McClane leaving. I didn't quite gauge. So did he put 2 and 2 together as far as the news reports from the heist?
No, I think that he just saw an opportunity of, well, you have this guy living with you, so I'm going to raise your rent. And when he came in,
Oh, and then when he opened the drawer, he saw the.
she was acting weird. I think she was being paranoid because this creepy guy just saunters unbidden into her bedroom and was like, I want to raise a rent. I want to talk about it now.
Yeah, he saw McLean hanging around her house, and he was
Yeah.
basically like, hey, there are 2 people living here now. You need to pay more.
Right. Well, plus he had a thing for her.
Right.
Yeah.
And wanted to capitalize on that
Right.
after he let himself in and
Right.
knew no one else was there.
He was trying to come on to
Right.
her.
She kept eyeballing and then reached for a drawer that had weapons in
Right.
it.
There was a scuffle. He yanked the drawer out, and all of the weapons they used in the heist were in the drawer. And then in the drawer below that one was all the money.
And he
Yeah.
saw that because he pulled the drawer completely out.
Right.
And that's when he was like, oh, great.
Yeah.
So he takes one of the guns, and in a weird sort of manner, guns her down.
In a very rated R sort of manner.
Yeah, like right.
Yes.
Yeah. He guns her down, and then takes the money.
But he didn't see the money until after he killed her. So he didn't kill her for the money.
No, he killed her just. It seemed like just to get his rocks off. I
Yeah.
don't
It was like
it was
yeah,
weird.
he was a weird dude. I'm not sure what was going on there, but he had some issues.
Yeah.
And the money was just, he happened to notice it after. And he's like,
oh,
he
it's
took it.
a drawer full of money.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Great.
So he takes the money
And the guns.
and the guns, and then he calls the police and reports the murder.
Right.
McLean returns soon after, finds her dead and the money gone, and now the police show up. And he fights his way out of that.
Yeah, the police come in. They're like, "What? Did you call this in?"
Yes,
He's
I
like,
did.
"Yeah." What's her name? Ellie. Blah blah. And who are you? And he just punches
punches-
the cop in the stomach and runs away.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
And so then now he assumes that one of the members of the crew stole the money
Double crossed him.
and double crossed him.
Right.
So he visits them one by one to
Yeah.
basically shake them down and be like,
Yeah.
hey, you need to prove to me that you didn't take the money. They're all obviously concerned about this because
Yes.
now it's obvious to them that the money
He
is
lost
gone.
the money.
And so they convene at Gladys's, and they all think that this is a plot by McLean to
Right.
get away with the money and not have to split it with them. So there's a bit of a torture scene
In a steam room.
a very elegant steam room for the late 60s. Nice shade of lime.
Lime
You said it was
style.
like the bathroom from The Shining.
It looked like the bathroom
Yeah.
from The Shining in
Yeah.
terms of the color.
Did a little bit.
Through the course of that, 2 of the members of the gang are dispatched, Gladys and Donald Sutherland's character.
Yeah.
And
I would like you to know that he. Oh no, he didn't die by steam. He got shot, right? Because at first he.
no,
falls into-
Sutherland died by steam.
died
He
by
did die by
Steam to the
steam.
face.
I just
Yeah.
want to be sure
Steam
that
to
we're
the
all.
face. Yes.
He died by steam.
Because I was waiting for him to show up later too,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh no, he got
He died by
steamed
steam.
right in the
Gladys
face.
got shot.
She did.
But Donald
Yeah.
Sutherland, death by steam.
Yeah.
Now, through the course of McLean's investigation, he learns that there's a detective investigating Ellie's murder, played by Gene Hackman, and it's later discovered. So he goes to the detective's house to find out what he knows,
Right.
and the detective says, "Well, there's one suspect at this point, the landlord." And eventually, McLean then learns that the landlord was killed. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
the landlord was.
The cop killed the landlord.
Gene Hackman killed the landlord,
Right.
but never reported the money being found.
Right.
Right. So McLean knew that
The landlord took the money,
that
or
No,
the, or
that
the,
the
the
cop-
cop,
that the
That
cop
Gene Hackman
took
took the money.
from the landlord.
And he's
never
like, I
reported
just
it.
want my cut.
Yep.
I
Right.
want my cut.
So he's trying to make a deal with Gene Hackman's detective, basically saying,
Right.
"I just want the original $83,000 that I was promised, and then I'm out."
Right.
But then you've got the rest of the crew that
Yes.
are
Who still
going to be
want their
looking for
money.
this.
Yeah.
They don't know you have it, so give me my share. I'll be gone, and you'll be done with this.
Or I'm gonna rat you out.
Or I'm going to tell them that you have it, and now you're going to deal with them too.
Right.
Eventually, the rest of the crew, end up seeing that McClane and the
They
detective
tail him.
are in cahoots. They follow them. And then there's a final shootout between the 3 surviving members
At
of
the
crew.
docks.
And Gene Hackman and McClane, who are now working together. Because, I mean, Gene Hackman gets the best part of the deal because he can get away with the rest of the money
Right.
outside of the $80,000 that McClane is owed. And eventually they win the day.
Yeah.
They dispatch the rest of the crew. And as the honorable criminal,
Yeah.
McClane says, I just want my share.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
And Gene Hackman's detective ends up saying he's going to turn the rest of the money in outside of $50,000 for himself. And then he can be promoted to, a
Whatever.
lead
Yeah.
detective 1. I forgot the terminology, but
Detective one.
because he was like detective 3 or something, third detective.
It's an
string.
upgrade.
And he wants to be
Yeah.
first detective, and he feels like if he turns the money in that was stolen,
It's his big case.
that's his big
Yeah.
win.
Okay.
And
Plus, he gets to keep $50,000, which apparently was a lot of money.
It's like $8 million back then.
now it's probably closer to 500,000
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice little nest egg.
And that was pretty much the movie.
That was the movie.
Weird ending, though. Like,
Yeah.
McClane goes to the airport to, get away,
Yeah. Disappear.
and he is boarding the plane or,
About to.
about to, and you hear what appears to be Ellie's voice saying McClane, and he looks surprised and turns around and
Freeze frame,
freeze
the end.
frame the end.
And all 3 of us were like, what?
We don't know if that was implied to be Ellie or just
Well, it was-
another woman that recognizes him, or
Maybe. I mean, it certainly sounded like her voice, but she's obviously dead. Like, there wasn't.
she was mega shot.
She was
It's mega murder.
She was mega murdered.
There was no coming back from that.
So
Blood
I don't know
everywhere.
what that was all about, but whatever. Not a big deal.
I'm not going to worry about it.
No.
I filed it
It might
away.
have just been a stylistic, kind of like Shaft, just like
Yeah.
a stylistic choice. Like,
Yeah.
let's get one freeze frame of the lead character.
Exactly. With
Yeah.
ladies chasing him.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a setup for a sequel. I don't know why.
Could be.
But there wasn't one, so it doesn't matter.
Well, and I also feel, I mean, I haven't read any of the actual Parker novels, but I feel like most of them are just kind of standalone
Yeah.
heists,
Little stories.
or
Little one-off
Yeah.
stories. Okay. I can see that.
but I don't know for sure.
But this was fun. It was a fun movie. I will say that I think it checks all the rated R boxes for 1968.
Yeah, so let's talk about what would have been novel for people of the late 60s that we saw in this movie.
It was funny because it did seem to be following a checklist of things that we talked about earlier. It's like, oh, there's that. There's the, interracial couple. Well, and
I mean, they
They
weren't really
really
a
a
couple.
they weren't really a
but
couple, but you didn't know that at the time.
Interracial
No.
flirting.
I mean, when,
They were definitely close.
yes.
There was definitely blood
Gore. Yeah, the blood
and
gore.
murder.
glorifying
There
the
was
bad
some
guys.
People in bed together, you know.
Yep. Some implied nudity. I
Yep,
mean, you didn't see
yep.
any overt nudity, but there was definitely
There was some
skin. More
Yep,
skin
yep,
showed.
Definitely. The criminal was glorified as the hero.
Yeah, he's the main character.
There was a
Yep.
dirty cop who
You had
got
the corrupt
away
cop.
with
Yeah.
what he, set out to do. He didn't receive any punishment.
I think they said "God damn" a bunch of times.
They
Yep.
said hell, god damn it.
Yep.
I don't think there were any the N word.
Yes, there was.
There was some
Was the
racial.
There was one.
Yeah.
Yes, there was some racial stuff in
Yeah.
there.
But
Um,
yeah, so I think it checks all the
But
rated R.
it's like they're like, what do we have to do to get an R rating?
Great.
All right, do all of that.
Put that
Right.
in there.
do we have any swears?
All of it,
Yes.
and we'll just sprinkle it in through the hole.
But it is so funny because it's like nothing. This
No,
is like,
watching it now,
this
it's
is like
it's
a
so tame.
PG-13 movie.
Like they wouldn't have to
Yeah.
edit much of anything to even show this on television.
No.
No,
If anything.
it's just language
Yeah,
and smoking.
Smoking.
there was some
There was
smoking.
smoking.
There was smoking.
It was 1968. Of course,
Yeah.
there
I
was
advise
smoking.
people that they're gonna be triggered by that when they see.
Smoking. I never understood that.
I don't know. Watch out.
But no, I thought it was.
Smoking.
I thought it was good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed
It held
it.
my interest.
Yeah.
Soundtrack was good.
It was
Quincy
weird.
Jones.
It was like a blaxploitation-esque film. It had that feel to it, at least from
little
my
bit,
perspective.
yeah.
But it just held up as a pretty good heist movie.
Yeah, I liked all the little
Like-
heist characters. They weren't too caricature-ish. You know, all
Well,
the...
I mean, they kind of were.
a little bit, but not too much.
No.
They were fun. I like Ernest Borgnine. He's so
Yeah,
he's fun.
ridiculous.
Why? Why is he ridiculous? He
I don't
just
know.
has.
He's
is
just-
it his face?
Yeah.
Is it his facial
it's
expressions?
his whole demeanor. He's a little...
Is it the fact that he's Mermaid Man?
And that does play into it a lot. He's Mermaid Man from SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And that's who he is. So, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
But I enjoyed this movie.
Huh.
What would you rate it?
You know, I'd give it a solid. I really dug it. 3.5 streeps.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 out of 5 heists. That's it. It was good. I liked it.
Would your moms like it?
No.
I
I don't think she'd
I don't
dislike
know.
it. I just think
don't think this is my mom's style.
no.
You gotta like these kind of movies. This is a man's movie.
It is. This is like if you're at home on a Saturday
And your
you got nothing to
grandfather's
do.
watching TV, and you
Yep.
come in, and you're like, "What are you
Smoking a
watching?"
cigar.
Yeah,
I don't know. This was on TV.
Yeah.
It's called The Split, and then,
Yeah.
then you watch it.
and you sit down and watch it
Ernest
with him.
Borgnine's in it.
Yes, exactly. And there's
That Mermaid
shootouts.
Man?
There's shootouts and car chases, and I don't know. It's a man's movie.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. I like it.
I
But
agree
it is.
with that.
Yeah. We should have
All
had
right.
cigars. We should have been smoking.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire
Watch this movie.
Yep.
Oh well.
Just hotbox this room. All right.
All right. We have to pick another.
That is it for the current theme. We have
just spin
finished
the wheel.
another themesicle.
Yeah.
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 Matt, I think you're up
Matthew,
to
it's your
spin.
turn.
Sure.
Okay.
I'll spin the wheel.
All right.
Spin the wheel. Here we
Do
go.
it. Spin it. Come on.
Big bucks, big,
Big
bucks,
money,
no whammies.
Big money.
No whammies.
83,000. And okay. Hello, Mr. President.
Who
Oh.
submitted this one?
I think I did.
You did. What was your thought process? But this seems very specific.
I just thought movies that prominently feature a president.
Oh, any president.
It could be an actual president in history. It could be. I wouldn't pick this, but like Independence Day, the president
like a
features
magical
prominently
president? Yeah, that's true.
in that movie.
Or like Air Force One.
Air Force One.
Okay.
I mean, so it could be actual historical presidents, or it could be
Okay, like JFK.
a fictional president.
Back and to the left. Does it have to? Can a president just be in it, or does it have to be about the president?
It's a theme to be interpreted.
Yes. However you would like to
So-
interpret it.
All right.
So yes.
So the commander in chief, executive branch. Here we go. Or
no.
like the president of
There
an
are 3
association.
words. Hello, Mr. President. Make of it what you will. And then come up with a film.
Can I pick a movie with Marilyn Monroe?
I don't know what the hell I'm going to talk about for just the overarching theme.
Well, you don't have to. You can just talk about the movie. Talk about
No,
something
I can't
else.
just do
You
that.
can do a
Hypothetical.
hypothetical.
Maybe.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Well, we're
gonna
going to talk
do
about
it.
presidents.
Nah, I don't wanna talk
President.
about presidents. I really don't.
Talk about old presidents.
Dead presidents?
Dead Kennedys. Presidents of the United States of America.
Oh.
We could sing Peaches.
Or
I like
Lump.
that song. Yeah, I like Peaches better.
Yes.
I mean, Lump is good too, but I like Peaches better.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's the theme now.
Okay, we're doing it.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay. Well,
So, thank you everybody as always for tuning in. We appreciate you.
yes, leave us a text message.
We've been getting fan mail.
Yeah, they're pretty
So
great.
that's exciting.
I enjoy those. I am not going to do the Mike Tyson voice though. I can't. Carl can do it. I
Yeah,
can't
somebody
do that one.
said Rachel should have done a whole little
You could try.
segment
No,
of
I'm
Mike
not
Tyson.
gonna. I'm not gonna
You
do
could
it.
at least
it's
try.
embarrassing. I'm not doing it.
I-
I'm not gonna do it. You do it.
No one's listening.
Everyone's
just-
listening.
Just do it.
No, don't peer pressure me.
Just do it.
I'm not gonna do it.
But we're getting some great views, as we said, on YouTube.
Yeah, we
so
got some YouTubes.
we definitely appreciate you guys taking the
yeah,
time to
thanks
listen.
for listening.
And we hope you'll continue to do so next week.
Into the future.
Back to the Future. Marty!
Okay, let's split.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.